About 4 years ago, I made a video called Whatever Happened to Simpsons Games, and I'd like to actually continue this series, essentially looking back at something that's no longer made anymore. And Simpsons video games for a while were pretty huge. I mean, this was and has always been one of the biggest cartoons, at the very least in America, especially appealing to adults, and it pioneered a lot of what modern adult cartoons are. You know, The Simpsons walked a fine line where it certainly could be watched by kids. It wasn't as outlandish or profane as South Park, which I also do love, but also it appealed to adult sensibilities. It was this cartoon that really felt like it was rooted in Americana. And The Simpsons games slowly died, especially as EA decided to penny pinch and crack down on what they made. And the last big one was really The Simpsons game, which was around the time of The Simpsons movie, and it was on the Xbox 360, PS3, and a lot of other consoles, but it was just in that generation. And the point of this is, we haven't really seen much Simpsons in video games in a long time. The Simpsons Tapped Out was pretty much the only thing they were in for a while on mobile. That got shut down as well. And here we are. So when it was announced that The Simpsons was coming to Fortnite, it was actually a pretty big deal for a lot of us who are fans of the show and really do enjoy that world. I know that people can get into all the comments about it should have stopped long ago, it's gone on too long, etc. And I understand there's a debate there, but really today I just wanted to look at how cool The Simpsons season of Fortnite actually is. And it's so good that I'm bummed that these seasonal recreations, like these revamps, are just temporary. It reminds me so much of the Marvel season, where I just wish that map was still here with Doom's Castle and all that stuff. But before we get into this for a few minutes, I do have a question of the day for you, which is, if you were to get some kind of massive overhaul for a game like this, like probably Fortnite I think is the most reasonable, what world would you want to see? And also, if you do want to support this channel, it helps me out a lot if you share these videos with friends, since the YouTube algorithm does not. And, you know, consider using my Fortnite code DJAY123. Those of you who use it every month on the Fortnite store help this channel a lot, and I truly do appreciate you. Now, for me so far, my Fortnite crew is bugged, and I'm just going to tell you that right now. So you'll mainly see me playing as characters like Bart Simpson, who I actually got from the store, or Goku, who I also really love. And I've contacted Epic Games, so my fingers are crossed that they can fix my account, because it is not unlocking my battle pass for some reason. I don't want to have to pay for it twice. Now, I think the most impressive thing to me in general, and the location that is just the biggest hellhole right now of people landing here to try to see it, is the classic Simpsons house. I mean, it's pretty much perfectly recreated, down to the posters on the wall. There are so many references to different characters in here, like Itchy and Scratchy. You also have the classic photos of the Simpsons family throughout the house. You have everybody's bedroom, you know, everybody's rooms are actually present in the home. And you can even sit on the Simpsons couch, just like the starting couch gag of the show. When I first loaded in and got to this house, I mean, it must have taken me 3 matches without just getting killed immediately by someone who somehow got a gun before me. Definitely a skill issue. I probably spent at least 10 minutes just looking around this house. Luckily, the storm circle allowed that, and I came back another match. I was just so impressed and blown away by how much they packed into this small area. And it's not just this. I mean, Ned Flanders' house is right next door with all kinds of stuff and Easter eggs in it. It is so perfect, the way that they laid out this map. It is incredible. Even down to the details like thanking Otto, the bus driver from the show, instead of just thanking the bus driver when you jump out of the bus. The fact that the battle bus goes through a logo, basically like the Simpsons opening. I mean, even the fact that the event that led into this, there was a live event that you could go to in Fortnite. So essentially what you could do is you could load in, I believe it was on Saturday morning of November 1st, and I did do this, where at about 10 a.m.-ish my time, I think, you would load in, and essentially the aliens from the Simpsons show, which are Kang and Kodos, they would do this entire event where they kind of attack the island. And then there was this pushback involving Hope, where essentially you had characters from Fortnite coming in and trying to push out these dimensional rifts. And then it actually transitioned into a cartoon, almost like an episode of The Simpsons, which showed how the island ends up the way it does, which I thought was just incredible. It was brilliant. It was like you were participating in a miniature episode of The Simpsons, which featured Fortnite characters. And then they get into the whole thing with Homer. Essentially, Homer has access to this alien technology that he's using to change the world, and you end up on Simpsons, like a Simpsons version of the Fortnite island. You end up in that world. You end up in Springfield Island. And some things are perfectly preserved, like the Simpsons house. Other things are actually combined in order to show you how the worlds merged. There even was stuff like this, like for example, Duffman, who was representing the Duff Beer Company in the Simpsons show. Well, obviously, they're not really going to be putting a ton of beer in a game that is also targeted at all ages, right? I mean, a lot of adults play Fortnite, so do a lot of children. So they're not necessarily going to be pushing beer. So instead of doing that, there's these Slurp products, which I think are really cool. And some of these are also, by the way, some of these details and Easter eggs are broken down by Game Rant, which I'll include in a link down below. They actually did a very good job of including some of these Easter eggs in a list, but I wanted to read that to refresh after my matches. But essentially, Duffman, he becomes Slurp Man, which is ironically also what they called me in college. Wait a minute. And so now he's a representative of Slurpco, right? Which ties into Fortnite. So there's stuff like that where they combine the Simpsons characters lore with Fortnite. There's other stuff where it just is the Simpsons lore, like doing a mission for Marge, you know, or encountering evil Homer and fighting him. These are just Simpsons things. Being able to go to the power plant. I am so enamored by how well they did with this season. I mean, I don't want to just fanboy about it the entire time, but so many details are covered, so many Easter eggs are actually shown in this season. It's so clear that they cared about the source material. Even having the gun that started this season showing up be Mr. Blasty from the original Simpsons show. It is just incredible how much passion went into this. And it really bums me out. Like for me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I want this to be a permanent world. You know, I would love if The Simpsons was just a permanent world or a permanent island in Fortnite. It really bums me out how a lot of this stuff gets removed over time. I mean, that's just kind of the cyclatory, I should say, nature of the game, where sometimes there'll be maps or updates that I think, oh man, this was not very good. And then you're glad when they're gone. But there's other ones like the Marvel season or this season where I just want it to stay. I don't really want it to go away and end. Now there is more coming, I believe on November 11th. Like I believe it's speculated there's more guns coming, there's more playable characters coming. We're expecting to get playable versions of the Fortnite characters themselves in the Simpsons style, Krusty the Clown and a few others. But in the meantime, you already have a battle pass also packed with tons of content from The Simpsons, characters like Marge, characters like Ned Flanders, but this genuinely does feel like you're just playing a Simpsons Battle Royale game. And I want to talk about this possibly in a future video as well, but I really do think, you know, people hate on Fortnite all the time. There are faults with Fortnite. I talked about the cyclatory nature of the game, lack of game preservation of certain things. Those are faults to me. I don't like everything being a service. However, I also think it's pretty crazy that a game like this brought back The Simpsons to video games, and I kind of want to talk about that in the future because I do think that the support of this venture is going to be important if people ever want to see these characters ever show up in a video game again. And the people who are always arguing, I want Hit and Run back, or I want Road Rage back, I want those games to be remastered, or I want the Simpsons arcade game back, I want it to be available. You know, people who are arguing those things, supporting this actually goes to show that you're interested in these characters. That's what the companies look at, money. So that's one reason I wanted to highlight this. Another reason is just because I think it's so cool. And also, for a self-serving reason, it really does help me if you guys are interested in this content if you use my Fortnite code DJAY123 in the Fortnite store, but before purchasing something. I believe eventually after a week or two, it empties that field and you have to put it in again. But those of you who use that each week, super helpful to my channel. I appreciate you. So thank you for doing that. Genuinely, it means a lot. I also did want to say we do have our own store, Cosmobunny.shop, where you can also support our channel directly. We have one-of-a-kind items for one-of-a-kind people like you, coasters, keychains, trays, and more, all made from recycled paper from damaged books. So we take comics, manga, magazines, and more that are unable to be sold or have to be sold dirt cheap due to damage. We actually save some of the paper that is usable from those things, and then we turn it into one-of-a-kind items like coasters, keychains, trays, and more, transformatively using a piece of that art in a new, bigger piece of art. We hope you enjoy that. Discount code DJAY123 gets you 10% off. It's the same code as my Fortnite code, although unfortunately, I do not have the pull at Epic Games to get you 10% off over there, but I do have the pull with my wife to get you 10% off on Cosmobunny.shop. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.